God's wonderful surprise. Jesus' friends were sad, so sad. They would never see their best friend again. How could this happen? Wasn't Jesus the rescuer? The God that God had promised? It wasn't supposed to end like this. Yes, but whoever said anything about the end? Just before sunrise, on the third day, God sent an earthquake and an angel from heaven. When the guards saw the angel, they fell down with fright. The angel rolled the huge stone away, sat on top of it, and waited. At the first glimmer of dawn, Mary Magdalene and other women headed to the tomb to wash Jesus' body. The early morning sun slanted through the ancient olive trees, drops of dew glittering on leaves and grasses, little tears everywhere. The friends walked quietly along the hilly path through the olive groves until they reached the tomb. And immediately they noticed something odd. It was wide open. They peered through the opening into the dark tomb. But wait, Jesus' body was gone. And something else, a shining angel was there with clothes made from lightning. Don't be scared, the angel said, but they couldn't help it. They screamed anyway. The angel asked them, "What are you doing here? This is a tomb, and tombs are for dead people." The women couldn't speak. Jesus isn't dead anymore, he said. He's alive again. And their hearts leapt, and then the angel laughed with such gladness that they felt for a moment as if they had woken up from a really bad nightmare. The other women rushed home, but Mary stayed behind. How could this be true? Jesus was definitely dead. How could he be alive? Just then Mary heard someone else in the garden. Perhaps it's the gardener, she thought. He'll know where Jesus' body is. "I don't know where Jesus is," Mary said urgently. "I can't find him." But it was all right. Jesus knew where she was, and he had found her. Mary. Only one person said her name like that. She could hear her heart thumping. She turned around. She could just make out a figure. She shaded her eyes to see and thought she was dreaming. But she wasn't dreaming. She was seeing Jesus. Mary fell to the ground. Sudden tears filled her eyes and great sobs shook her whole body. And all she wanted in that moment was to cling to Jesus and never let him go. "You'll be able to hold on to me later, Mary," Jesus said gently, "and you'll always be close to me. But now go and tell the others that I'm alive." Mary ran and ran all the way to the city. She had never run so fast or so far in all of her life. She felt like she could run forever. She didn't even feel like her feet touched the ground. The sun seemed to be dancing and gleaming and bounding across the sky, racing with her and shining brighter than she could ever remember in the clear, fresh air. And it seemed to her that morning as she ran almost as if the whole world had been made new. Almost as if the whole world was singing for joy. The trees, the tiny sounds in the grass, the birds. Her heart. Was God really making everything sad come untrue? Was God making even death come untrue? She couldn't wait to tell Jesus' friends. "They won't believe it," she laughed. She was right, of course. Jesus' friends were afraid. They were hiding in an upstairs room with the door bolted shut. But that didn't stop Jesus. He just walked straight through the wall. "It's a ghost!" Thomas screamed and hid under the table. But it wasn't a ghost. "I'm hungry," Jesus said. "What's for lunch?" Peter gave him a fish. They all hung back and watched him eat. "This can't be," they were telling themselves. "It's impossible. It's not happening." But it was, right in front of them. I think one of the main things that God is showing us through this story is that death and hard things and sadness is not the end. That through God, everything, the whole world, can be made new and is being made new. And we get to be a part of it. And you might feel like, well, there's still a lot of things that are sad and there's still a lot of things that are hard. But I think what God is trying to show us through Jesus' death and through the story of Jesus rising from the dead, is that God is in control of the life cycle, of the beginning of our life, the suffering of our life, the sadness of our life, the death of our life, and also the rising of our life. And the end part is life. It's not, the end of the story isn't death. The end of the story is that we get to be with the one who made this world, and we get to experience the newness of the birds and the earth and ourselves and everyone in it. This is the light. And so we started with 7 candles and we blew them out and we blew them out until it got so dark that Jesus died. But today on Easter, the message is there's light again. And that light isn't just like a story of the past. It's not just something that happened a long time ago and wow, isn't that kind of cool? And I'm not sure if I believe it, and I do believe it. It's like we get to be a part of being rescued. We get to be part of Jesus feeling for us and Jesus understanding all the things that we go through, and also Jesus flipping it around and making it all new and saying to us that our darkness is not the end of the story. God's light is the end of the story. And that's pretty awesome news. I hope today, when you look around and maybe even on the trees, you start to see things budding and start to see the world coming alive with spring. Allow it to help you remember that this is what God is doing in you and in our world. And it's powerful enough to save us, to rescue us, to form us into people that help bring light everywhere we go. So happy Easter.